Hi guys, how are you doing today? Welcome back to Random Lifestyle Vlog. If you're new here, my name is Paulina. This channel is mostly about beauty, and today we're going to talk about these new Charlotte Tilbury palettes. So as you can see, I have two of these palettes to try on today. Before we dive in though, let me give you some background information. So first of all, these palettes are priced at £49. There are 6 shades to choose from. So we have Digital Lilac, Pink, Love, and Sensual Sunset. These 3 were an easy pass for me. The lilac one is not something I will probably wear quite a lot. The pink one was very Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like I have these shades in like many different versions now. And then the Sensual Sunset was really beautiful actually, but I feel like I have too many of those kind of neutral warm tone palettes at this point. So then it was between the 3 remaining palettes for me, and I decided to only pick up 2. So I got myself the Emerald Effect, which is this one over here, and Super Neutral. The remaining one I was debating whether I should get it or not was Denim Dimension, and it's like a really pretty blue palette, but I wasn't really sure whether that's going to suit my skin tone. This palette is not this bright, intense blue, it's more like denim color as you would expect, and I was a little bit worried. I have quite a lot of yellow undertone in my skin. I was a little bit worried that this may look not that great on my eyelids. I mean, these shades, these kind of like washed out shades, sometimes can make my eyelids look dirty, and obviously that's not the look I want to go for. So I ended up with these 2 palettes. I'm going to show you these up close in a minute. I'm going to swatch them and try them on. As you can see, I don't have any eye makeup yet, so we'll work on that. But before we do, there's one thing I feel like I need to address: the packaging. So as you can see, this is this kind of like a plasticky packaging without mirror or anything. It looks a little bit cheap, I have to admit. I would say it's comparable to Natasha Denona's mini palettes. They also have this kind of like a plasticky packaging. Not gonna lie, I'm not a massive fan of it. It does look pretty cheap. Luckily, it doesn't feel super cheap. Like, it's not made of the cheapest plastic that there is, but yeah. This is what it looks like. And how do I feel about that? As I just said, I'm not a massive fan of how this looks, but to be fair, these palettes are priced at £49, whereas the classic Charlotte Tilbury quads are priced at £46, I think. So the price difference between these 2 palettes is minimal. And bear in mind that this new palette has 9 shades, whereas this small one only 4. And yes, the pans seem a little bit bigger here, but still, as far as value for money goes, this palette definitely makes a little bit more sense. I guess we also have these big Beautyverse palettes to compare. These palettes were priced at, I think, around £60. I mean, the packaging is stunning here. We also have 9 shades here, and even though these pans seem bigger for whatever reason, the net weight of the product is actually the same, so it's 9 grams in both cases. So again, we have the same amount of product, the same number of shades here. Here we have the stunning luxury packaging, but it costs £60, whereas here we have this very basic, simple looking packaging, and it costs £49. So I guess it kind of makes sense. Charlotte is giving us this simple packaging, but at the same time she reduced price of the palette, making it a little bit more affordable, a little bit more accessible as well. So I think that makes sense. Okay, so since I'm already holding this Super Neutral palette, let's talk about this one first. So first up, these are the shades, very beautiful nudie colors. Let's start with some swatches. So first up, we have Diamond Dimension. So this is our shade number 1. They don't have names, they just have numbers, and then also the formula is mentioned. So this is shade number 1, Diamond Dimension formula. Next up, shade number 2, Matte Silk. Barely visible on my skin, but okay. Then we have shade number 3, Matte Silk again. Shade number 4, another Matte Silk. Shade number 5, Crystal Chrome. Ooh, that one's nice. And then shade number 6, again, Matte Silk. Number 7, another Matte Silk. Number 8, another Matte Silk. So we have a lot of these Matte Silk formulation shades. And then we have shade number 9. And this is Diamond Dimension. And this is what it looks like. Do you know what? I have to say, so far so good. I really like these swatches, especially the darker shades here. This second shade is barely visible on my skin, but I guess it could be like a really nice primer shade. But these, very pretty. So far I'm actually quite impressed. Should we try it on? Let's do that. So since I have two eyeshadow palettes, I'm just going to use one of them on my right eye, the other one on my left eye. So I'm not going to be doing anything off camera, let's just jump right in. So where do we start? I think we should begin with this lightest shade here. As I said, I think this is going to be a good primer, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to apply it all over my eyelid. Okay, not gonna lie, this is still barely visible. I mean, I guess it's like a good, kind of like a first layer, but it's not like it changed anything color-wise on my eyelids. That's fine though, let's move on, let's try this shade over here. I'm just going to work on this outer corner here and my crease. And as you can see, we have much better pigmentation already. I don't even have to try much. This shade transfers really nicely. Now let's do this one. We have quite a few mattes here, so I don't think I will use every single shade while doing my makeup today. That does give you some options. You might be a little bit more creative with this palette. Your makeup is definitely not going to look very similar every time you use this palette. Okay, so we're using the shade that's a little bit darker now, and I'm working on this outer corner even further, and as you can see, really lovely pigmentation. And you know what, this blends so smoothly, like I don't even have to put much effort. Now let's move on and use this shade here. Okay, can you see that? It's so easy to build up the depth here. Like these shades are really lovely pigmented. Apart from the lightest one is just your primer shade. It's not really showing on my medium skin tone, so unless you have lighter skin tone than mine, I don't think it's going to show. But everything else is really beautifully pigmented. So this palette so far is extremely easy to work with. I'm just going to use this shade on my lower lash line. I definitely want to try as many shades as possible, even though, as I said, I don't think I'll be able to try every single one of them. And back to this shade over here, I'm going to use it to blend this lower lash line a little bit more. Okay, so far I'm actually quite impressed. And now let's add some sparkle. I'm going to use this shade here, and I'm going to apply it with my finger. Oh, this is really pretty actually. Love it. Yeah, this looks really pretty. I'll probably only use this shade if I were just doing my regular makeup, but I want to try as many shades as possible, so I'm going to add a little bit of this shade here in my inner corner. I'm not sure if this is going to go, but to be honest, I'm not going out wearing this makeup anyway, so no one's going to see me. So never mind, let's just test as many shades as we can. Oh, this is really sparkly. This is really nice. This is even sparklier than the shade that I just applied all over my eyelid. Yeah, that is really pretty. Okay, so this is my right eye done using this super neutral palette. Okay, let me just finish this side off camera now. Okay, so this is our super neutral palette, and this is the finished look. Here are the swatches as well, if you'd like to compare everything. So far I'm really happy with the quality of the palette. I'm also really happy with my choice. I absolutely love this color story, and I think I'll be using it quite a lot. So yeah, at least 50% of my makeup haul has been successful so far. Now it's time to check our Emerald Effect palette. And first of all, I really love this combination of greens and browns. I mean, this just has my name written all over it. So this one was a no-brainer for me. Easy choice. I cannot wait to give it a go. So let's do some swatches. Shade number 1, Diamond Dimension. Shade number 2, Matte Silk. And shade number 3, this one is a little bit different formulation. This is Molten Satin. Oh, that is nice. I really like the finish of this shade. Shade number 4, this is another Molten Satin. That looks pretty. Next up we have shade number 5, Crystal Chrome. And shade number 6, Matte Silk. Number 7, Crystal Pop. Number 8, another crystal pop. Oh, wow. And then we have number 9, diamond dimension. Wow, that's actually really pretty. What do you think? I'm actually obsessed with this color story. This is just so pretty. Definitely a good choice, like 100%. I'm so happy with my choices. Maybe I'm kind of like slightly regretting not getting the blue one, because looking at these swatches and the swatches of the other palette, I think that maybe the blue one would also be a nice addition to my collection. Would it though? I don't think I use blue eyeshadows that often anyways. Green ones on the other hand, I mean, I can see myself wearing this eyeshadow palette quite a lot this season, and I mean, look at these swatches. I really hope it's going to perform just as well on my eyelids. So without further ado, let's see. So in this palette, we don't really have this kind of lightest primer shade. I'm going to start straight away with this one over here. This is the lightest one they've got. And I'm going to apply this in my outer corner and crease. Okay, so we're already starting with a nicely pigmented shade. This palette is a little bit darker than the neutral one, which makes sense, right? And yeah, so far so good. I've just realized that we only have 2 like proper mattes. We also have 2 of these molten satin shades, which are not like proper matte, but they're not shimmery either. So they have a little bit of glow to them, I would say. So we're going to use them as if they were mattes, because we don't really have that many mattes here anyway. So I'm actually quite curious how this is going to look. I'm going to go ahead and use the other matte shade now. And again, we have a really lovely pigmentation, and these shades blend really nicely together. So far quite easy to use as well. Let's try these molten satin shades. So I'm going to try and use this shade over here, and I'm going to use my brush. We'll see whether this brush is going to be alright, or will I need something more dense. Let's see. Okay, this brush is definitely enough. This applies really nicely, and it does leave this kind of like a satin finish, which I love. Now listen, I want this look to be more green than brown, so I want to play with those greenish shades a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this shade over here on my lower lash line. I hope it's going to be pigmented enough. Let's see. Okay, it is pretty pigmented. I mean, look at this. This actually shows really pretty, so you can see the intense color, but it's also quite sparkly. So yeah, love that. Let's use a little bit of this shade over here to work on this lower lash line a little bit more. Let's make it even more green. Have I already mentioned I absolutely love green and brown kind of like palette combination? Because I do. Like, this is literally the palette of my dreams as far as the color story goes. And I'm so happy that the quality is good too, because like, you never know, right? Like, the color story might be the most amazing and the shades might just not really transfer properly. Okay, I think I'm going to maybe try and use this shade on my upper eyelid. Let's try it out. I mean, look how pigmented this is. And then I'm going to use this shade in my inner corner. I guess that's it. I'm going to do my lashes off camera, and then I'll be back with my final thoughts. There we go. This is the Emerald Effect palette. Here's my makeup. Here are the swatches. And yeah, that's what it looks like. And here are both palettes. This is my super neutral eye, and this is my Emerald Effect eye. And let's do this once more up close. So as you can see, this is my super neutral eye, and here the Emerald Effect eye. So that's what it looks like. And what do I think? I mean, I'm so relieved because, you know, we have a little bit cheaper palettes, we have a little bit cheaper looking packaging, but the quality is really good. And I'm sure many of us will be fine paying for these kind of luxury palettes in a cheaper packaging if we're going to get a luxury quality for that money, which is the case here. These palettes have really good quality. The color stories are stunning, but even if you like these particular color stories, there are actually 6 of them. So I think you will probably like at least one of these. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with my purchase. I'm pretty happy with the choices I've made. This, as I said, the green and brown palette is just something I gravitate towards a lot. And then here we have this like a beautiful neutral palette. These are very wearable, and I'm definitely going to use these quite a lot. But let me know what you guys think. Have you tried any of these palettes? If so, let me know which one is your favorite. Thank you very much for watching. For more makeup related content, check these videos over here. I'm going to see you very soon. Take care. Bye.